You know what really messes with your head? It's not just that they left. It's the way it looks like nothing collapsed for them after they did. You see their posts, their stories, their new people, their nights out, their life updates, and somewhere inside your chest, something whispers, "Wow, they really are happier without me." It feels like they walked away from you and walked straight into the life they always wanted, while you're over here trying to remember how to breathe without checking your phone every 5 minutes. I know that place. That place where you lie in bed at night and the same questions keep looping in your mind. Did I ever really matter? Did they ever truly love me? Are they ever going to realize what they lost? Will they ever regret the way they treated me? It's like your brain is begging for just one scene where they finally break down and say, "You were rare. I didn't see it. I'm sorry." Even if you wouldn't take them back, something in you still wants that moment. Let me tell you something I've learned watching this cycle over and over, not just in other people, but in my own life too. When someone has been loved by a rare soul and they mishandle it, regret doesn't just maybe happen. It's not a coin toss. It's built into the way life works. But here's the catch. It doesn't come the way you fantasize about it. In your mind, you picture one big dramatic scene. You imagine them crying, calling you, saying, "I ruined the best thing I ever had." But in real life, their regret doesn't hit like a movie climax. It comes in stages. Slowly, quietly, over time. Some of those stages you get glimpses of, some of them you never see, but they feel all of them. I want to walk you through those 3 stages of their regret from my perspective, like I'm sitting right next to you, telling you how it really happens, the human way. I want you to see not just what they go through in those stages, but also what's happening inside you at the same time. Because this is not just their story. It's also about how you stop waiting for their regret to be your closure. First, I want you to remember something that's hard to admit. When it first ended, especially if they were the one who pulled away, there was a part of them that felt relief. I know that stings, but stay with me. Maybe they told you, "I need space. I don't feel the same anymore. I'm not ready for this," or "You deserve better." Meanwhile, they're texting friends, going out, posting like they just got out of a cage. That first stage for them feels like freedom. Freedom from responsibility, freedom from hard conversations, freedom from being fully seen. They tell themselves a story that makes leaving feel like the right decision. We fought too much. They were too emotional. It was toxic. Even if most of that isn't fair, it helps them avoid guilt. It's easier to paint you as too much than to admit they were never enough. From your side, their relief feels like a punch in the stomach. You're crying, you're replaying every moment, you're blaming yourself. And then you open your phone and see them smiling somewhere, drinking with friends, flirting online, maybe already with someone new. They look lighter, happier. It's like you took a bullet and they took a vacation. I've seen this so many times. I remember watching someone I loved walk away and then post, "Finally at peace," 2 weeks later with another person sitting next to them. It felt like they were saying, "You were the problem." In that first stage, they act like you were the weight, and leaving you was the cure. But this is where I want you to see deeper than the picture. Their relief is real for them, yes, but it's shallow, it's surface level. It's the feeling you get when you drop a heavy bag before realizing the bag was full of things you actually needed. They're not relieved from you, they're relieved from the parts of themselves they didn't want to face. With you, they were seen. With you, they were asked to show up. With you, they were pushed to grow. That's not easy. That's confronting. And when someone isn't ready to grow, they call the person who loves them too intense and run towards something lighter. In that first stage, their relief is like taking a painkiller. It doesn't heal anything, it just numbs. Meanwhile, you're on the floor feeling everything. You're going through withdrawal. Not just from them, but from the version of yourself that existed when you believed you had a future together. You're not just grieving a person, you're grieving a story. The story where you thought you finally found your person. The story where you pictured holidays together, little traditions, growing old, whatever it was for you. They walked out of that story. You're still standing in it, looking around that empty space. And I want to say this clearly, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. They've pressed mute on their feelings. You're hearing them at full volume. It hurts more, but it's also why you'll eventually heal deeper than they do. Now, after that first wave of relief, life keeps moving. This is where the second stage of their regret gets quietly built, brick by brick, without them even realizing it at first. They start talking to new people. Maybe they jump straight into something serious. Maybe they start a situationship. Maybe it's just casual. But someone else takes your spot in their pictures, in their car, at their table. You see it. You see the selfies, the weekend trips, the life update posts. It's like watching your favorite movie being remade with a different cast, and you didn't get the part this time. In the beginning with this new person, they're on their best behavior again. They're charming, attentive. They do some of the things they used to do for you at the start. They say all the sweet things that once made you feel special. That's when your mind starts torturing you. They never smiled like that with me. They never did that place or that trip with me. They treat them better. You start to believe that they upgraded, that this new person got the version of them you were begging for. I remember watching someone I loved do things with their new partner that they refused to do with me. The trips they kept postponing with me. The public affection they never gave me. The captions about finally feeling understood. It felt like I was the rough draft and the next person was the final version. It took me a long time to realize that was just the honeymoon talking, not the truth. Everyone looks amazing on their honeymoon. Even the most emotionally immature people. Even the most avoidant. Even the most selfish. In those early stages, it's all fantasy, projection, filtered photos, and best behavior. You had that with them too. You've just forgotten because of how it ended. So where does regret enter this second stage? It doesn't come in big waves yet. It comes in small, annoying flashes. One day, they're tired and sick, and this new person doesn't offer the same care you did. Maybe they bring generic sympathy, but nothing deep. Another day, they share something vulnerable, and the new person doesn't hold it as carefully as you did. Another time, they mention something small they love, and it's met with, "Oh, that's weird," instead of you saying, "That's so you." Tiny moments. And then, one random evening, they heard a song that was yours. Or they passed that little restaurant you loved. Or they catch a whiff of a perfume you used to wear on your clothes. For half a second, they're not in their new life anymore. They're back in a moment with you. The way you laughed. The way you looked at them. The way you listened. That half second hurts. They swallow it. They carry on with their night. They don't text you. They don't cry on the bathroom floor. Not yet. But the comparison seed has been planted. The second stage of regret is built on comparison. Not comparison of looks or status or aesthetic, but comparison of emotional reality. How safe they felt. How seen they felt. How real it felt. They start to notice that even with someone new, they don't feel that same kind of, "I can show up messy and still be loved" feeling they had with you. They realize that what you offered wasn't just company, it was emotional depth. It was consistent. It was an effort. And even if they're too proud to say it, they know deep down they didn't match it. I've lived that second stage from their side once, and it was ugly. I'd find myself mentally arguing with someone who wasn't even there anymore. I'd think, we did have something real, didn't we? Or, damn, I really didn't appreciate how much they understood me. Pride would jump in and say, yeah, but they had their issues too. I'd blame them again, then a few hours later catch myself remembering one specific moment of kindness that shut me up. That's how regret starts, by interrupting the comfortable lie you told yourself with sharp flashes of truth. This is usually the stage where they quietly start checking your page again. Maybe they watch your stories without liking anything. Maybe they scroll down to see if you're still posting sad quotes, or if you look lighter now. Maybe they see you with friends, or alone, working on yourself. Maybe they see you with someone new. That one hits like a brick. Because in their mind, you were supposed to be frozen in time, stuck at the moment they left you. They didn't expect you to grow, glow, heal, or attract better. Seeing even the possibility of that makes them uncomfortable, because it exposes the fact that they were not your only shot at love or happiness. At this stage, they're not fully ready to admit they messed up. Regret is still mixed with ego. They might reach out in small, safe ways. A reaction to your story. A, hey, have you been? Text. A random, this reminded me of you, message. It feels huge to you because you've been waiting for something, anything. But from where I sit, I see it for what it is. They're checking if the door is still open. They're soothing their guilt more than they're trying to truly come back different. Here's where you need to be careful. If you're still deeply wounded, their stage 2 regret can suck you back into a cycle. You'll confuse that "I miss how you loved me" energy for "I'm ready to love you right now." Those are not the same. Missing your warmth is not the same as being ready to hold you properly. Real regret, the kind that changes a person, lives in the 3rd stage. And that stage only shows up when life stops letting them dodge themselves. Stage 3 regret doesn't hit in the club. It hits in quiet rooms. It doesn't show up in their group chat. It shows up when they're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., finally alone with their thoughts. When enough time has passed. When enough patterns have repeated. When enough people have walked away from them for the same reasons you almost destroyed yourself trying to explain. One day, in the middle of their life, something cracks in a way they can't ignore. Maybe that new relationship ends, not because the new person was crazy, but because they treated them the same way they treated you. Maybe they lose something important, friendships, jobs, respect, because they keep dodging responsibility. Maybe they start to see that they are the common denominator in all the mess. That's when the 3rd stage of regret barrels in. It doesn't say, "I miss the attention." It says, "I wasted something good." It doesn't say, "I miss having someone to talk to." It says, "I damaged someone who honestly had my back." Big difference. In this stage, they don't just remember your hugs or your kisses or your jokes. They remember the specific ways you showed up that nobody else has. The way you defended them when people talked behind their back. The time you stayed up all night calming them down when they were panicking. The way you understood their moods without them having to explain. The way you apologized first, sometimes even when you weren't wrong, just because you valued the relationship more than your ego. They also remember what they did in response. If they yelled, if they ignored, if they cheated, if they ghosted, if they belittled your feelings. Those memories used to be easy for them to brush off. Now they sting. they start to realize that these weren't just little mistakes. They were failures to show up for someone who genuinely tried. Stage 3 regret sounds like this inside their head. I really had something rare, and I treated it like it was guaranteed. I remember my own version of that moment. Years after I lost someone good, I saw a random photo of them surrounded by people who clearly loved them, looking peaceful in a way they never did with me. And out of nowhere, my stomach dropped. I realized in one sharp second that all those times I thought, they're not going anywhere, I was actually gambling with someone's heart. That realization brought shame with it. Not the kind that destroys you, but the kind that finally wakes you up. In this stage, they might finally have the courage to say what they should have said long ago. They might send a long message. They might call. They might say things like, I know I hurt you. I didn't appreciate you. I didn't know how to handle what we had. I'm sorry for the way I left. It might come out messy. It might come out late. But the regret is real. Here's the twist, though. By the time they reach this third stage, you're usually not the same person anymore. While they've been cycling through relief, comparison, and finally facing themselves, you've been living a whole different journey. You went through hell in the beginning. You doubted your worth. You wondered if you were unlovable. Then, slowly, you started to rebuild. You learned to sit with your feelings instead of sending 10 texts to drown them out. You learned what your boundaries are, not just in theory, but in practice. You began to see patterns in yourself, too, where you people-pleased, where you ignored red flags, where you stayed when you should have left. You went from, I'll do anything to keep them, to, if it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. That shift didn't happen in one day. It happened over months of crying, reflecting, taking small steps forward, falling back, then getting up again. But make no mistake, you changed. So when their full regret finally shows up and knocks on your door, you're not standing in the same spot you were when they walked away. You're further down the road. You're tired, but wiser. Your heart is softer, but your standards are higher. You see them more clearly now, not as the god of your happiness, but as a flawed person who made choices. That's when you finally have the power they thought they stole from you. You can choose whether their regret becomes a new chapter with them or just a quiet confirmation for you. You can listen and forgive and still not go back. You can appreciate their honesty and still say, I'm glad you see it now, but I can't put myself in that position again. You can choose you, even when the thing you waited so long to hear finally arrives. And this is the part I really want to land in your heart. Their regret is about them. Your healing is about you. Those are two different journeys. They might overlap for a moment, but they don't depend on each other. You don't have to sit around waiting for stage 3 to feel valuable. You were rare when they were taking you for granted. You were rare when you were crying over their mixed signals. You were rare when you were teaching them what real love looks like while they were half listening. Their timeline doesn't decide your worth. If you're still here with me and some part of you is aching but also feeling seen, I want you to do something small just for yourself. In your mind, whisper this to yourself like a promise. I want healing more than I want their regret. You don't have to fully believe it yet. Just say it. Let it become a seed inside you. Because I promise, the day will come when that sentence feels true. They will have their stages. Relief, comparison, real regret. They will go through their own private storms. Maybe they'll show it. Maybe they'll hide it. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll stay silent. That's all outside of your control. What you can control is what you do with your stages. Your stage of heartbreak, your stage of rebuilding, and your stage of becoming someone who no longer begs to be seen by people who only realize your value in hindsight. If this spoke to you, don't just let it disappear into the scroll. Save it for the nights you feel weak and want to go back. Stay connected here, so when you're tempted to measure yourself against their life, you have another voice to pull you back to you. Because at the end of the day, the person who needs to realize you're rare isn't just them. It's you. And when you finally see yourself that way, their regret stops being the ending you're waiting for and becomes just a piece of the story you already outgrew.